Imagine this: a submarine moving on its own in the sea. No crew, no human inside, yet it's precisely engineered and equipped with advanced technologies, with its main mission being the transport of massive amounts of cocaine across the ocean. The story we're telling today isn't from an action movie or a Narco series. No, this is a real story that actually happened off the coast of Colombia. And it caused a global stir because it shows that drug trafficking has entered an entirely new era, the era of technology and smart smuggling. The date is important. This incident was announced on July 2, 2025, and we'll keep referring back to it throughout the explanation. The story and details of the seizure. At the beginning of July 2025, specifically on July 2, the Colombian Navy announced the seizure of a strange marine vessel, not a regular boat, nor a conventional submarine. They called it a semi-submersible, but it was unlike anything we had seen before. To understand the magnitude of this leap, we must recall the history of these vessels. For decades, drug cartels have been using these semi-submersibles, boats made from fiberglass or steel, designed to stay just above the water surface to evade the naked eye and conventional radar. They were usually operated by a small crew of 2 or 3 people, risking their lives on long, perilous journeys. But when the Colombian sailors arrived at the site in 2025, they found something different. A long metallic hull, partially submerged, equipped with powerful engines and satellite navigation and communication systems. The shocking part? There was no human on board. No captain, no crew, not even any trace of life. Upon closer inspection, they discovered it was equipped with an advanced remote control system, connected via SpaceX's Starlink network. Imagine that, a satellite internet network being used to operate a smuggling submarine. The systems were still active, and the vessel was nearly fully operational. But the crucial point: there was no cocaine on board at the time of seizure. This led authorities to conclude it was a test or a trial run before actual smuggling operations began.
The Navy stated that the design indicated the ship could carry about 1.5 tons of cargo, most likely cocaine. If the trial had succeeded, it could have been used to transport large shipments from South America to the Caribbean or even Europe without any risk to the people who usually man these vessels. In other words, the first narco sub in history, a qualitative leap from desperate smuggling boats to an ocean-crossing machine. Imagine the level of advancement here. A few years ago, we would hear about small boats smuggling drugs operated by people ready to risk their lives. Today, cartels are using space technology and internet connectivity to operate autonomous vessels at sea. But why Starlink specifically? The reason lies in speed and coverage. Low Earth orbit satellite connections like Starlink ensure extremely low latency, which is vital for precise remote control of the vessel in unpredictable sea conditions. In addition, satellite coverage extends across the middle of the ocean, where conventional networks or regular radio cannot reach. In short, it gives them full control safely from potentially another continent. The news spread widely around the world. Major media outlets like CBS, The Guardian, and Maritime Executive all reported the incident, calling it historic. The first time a crewless smuggling vessel was seized, connected to a satellite, and designed specifically to evade radar, thermal sensors, and detection systems. Adding to the mystery, the Colombian Navy did not announce any evidence directly linking the vessel to a specific cartel. Investigators, however, suspect it belongs to the so-called Gulf Clan, Colombia's largest drug trafficking organization, known for continuous innovation. From a technical perspective, what happened is that traffickers started applying the same concepts used in aerial drones, but underwater or semi-submersible. A simple idea: instead of risking human lives, design a self-operating machine that delivers the cargo, submerges, or jettisons it if danger approaches. And if it gets detected, only financial loss, no arrests or confessions. This kind of automation in organized crime is a highly significant shift. From a security standpoint, Colombia and the region are now racing against time. Authorities said they are investigating factories and ports suspected of assembling such vessels, because what happened means traffickers are entering advanced engineering, satellite communications, and even AI for remote vehicle control. This isn't simple smuggling anymore. It's full-fledged science backed by major investments.
The biggest challenge is detection. These semi-submersible vessels are already designed with stealth technology, leaving minimal thermal signature and barely surfacing above the water. Adding autonomous navigation allows them to bypass the most critical weakness of previous smuggling operations: human error or fear. The robotic trafficker doesn't tire, sleep, or surrender. Some maritime experts say this shift mirrors the drone revolution, first used for hobbies, then surveillance, then warfare, and now we see a maritime version but in organized crime. The same technologies developed for civilian purposes, like Starlink to provide internet at sea, are now being misused for illegal activities. And the irony is striking. Technology designed to bring internet to remote villages is now being used to transport drugs across the ocean. Future scenarios and required responses. Ultimately, this isn't just about cocaine smuggling. It's about organized crime entering the era of artificial intelligence and satellite communications. Smuggling no longer relies on boldness or strength. It now depends on technology, programming, and encrypted communications. First, let's clarify a key fact before diving into analysis. The vessel seized by the Colombian Navy on July 2, 2025, was not loaded with drugs at the time. This was a test device or a ready-to-use vessel, but empty. This simple fact changes our perspective. What happened was the cartels testing a new technology, not a failed large-scale smuggling attempt. So what does this mean in practice? If the concept succeeds, cartels could build small fleets of these vessels, launching them at different times and along parallel routes. This creates a so-called system overload, where naval forces cannot track all the moving points in the vast ocean. It would be like looking for a needle in a moving haystack. Practical questions. Could we see fleets of these vessels at sea in the near future? The answer: possible, but with challenges. Manufacturing a semi-submersible is neither cheap nor easy. It requires specialized engineers, advanced spare parts, and complex communication systems. The key is that cartels would need to localize production to reduce costs and avoid traceable supply chains. What steps can governments take to prevent the spread of such technology? Several clear measures.
cyber tracking, and collaboration with space companies. This is the first line of defense. Governments should require companies like Starlink to cooperate in identifying suspicious connection patterns from known trafficking areas. If satellite-to-vessel communication can be detected, missions can be disrupted before launch or early in transit. Small clarifying addition. This cooperation requires clear legal frameworks and rapid information exchange between public and private sectors. Regulation of dual-use components. Technical parts usable in autonomous navigation and submarines, for example, high-efficiency marine propulsion motors or high-precision military GPS systems, must be strictly monitored internationally to prevent black market access. Smart naval policing. New detection tools must be developed. Instead of traditional radars, a combination of advanced sonar, underwater drones, UUVs, and reconnaissance aircraft using AI to analyze subtle thermal and visual patterns on the ocean's surface is required. Motivational closing line before the conclusion. The race has begun, and the winner will protect the seas. Conclusion. What we witnessed in July 2025 is not just a strange incident, it's a warning signal. Drug trafficking is entering a new era, the era of autonomous vessels and satellite communications. Responding to this challenge requires an integrated approach: technological, legal, intelligence-based, and societal. If we are not prepared, we may always be one step behind, losing control over new routes invented by organized crime. Remember, the same technology also provides solutions. Advanced monitoring systems, AI pattern analysis, and public-private cooperation can turn the tables. The difference now is that we know the adversary is reading from the same tech playbook, and the real race will be who can use it for lawful purposes first and best.